Michael Finney. He's 12-1-1, 23-year-old brute. Took this fight yesterday when a change happened, going up against the prospect that Teddy documented and wants us to look out for, Erickson Lubin, a 19-year-old. So there is Mr. Finney. He's from Smith's Station, Alabama. 12-1-1, 10 knockouts. Actually had a decent amateur career. National Golden Gloves bronze in 09. And the JOs, the Junior Olympics Nationals, took gold in 2008 at 132 pounds. Both fighters 5'11". Lubin came in at 153 pounds with that glossy 8-0 record. Just 19 years old. A southpaw, naturally right-hander. Very good amateur career. Gold medal in the National Golden Gloves in 2013. And he's been active with 8 fights in 14 months since turning pro. You like him, Teddy?
Yeah, I like Lubin a lot. He's only 19 years old. Obviously, you know, a big ceiling there for him to improve. 150 amateur fight, turned pro when he was 18. The sky's the limit for a kid like this, 2-time national amateur champion. And you know what? I give credit to his people. They're not giving him more ice cream. You know, they're giving him opponents that I think in his last fight, he was on the floor, he went 8 rounds. They're giving him the kind of opponents you should to a guy that you believe in. Opponents that can help him develop a little bit. I think his people are doing it right. But tonight, well, I told you in the first fight, don't go to the refridge. I'm going to tell you, if you have to go to the refridge now, you have about 3 rounds, Joe, to go. I'm going to say 3 rounds, Lubin gets rid of Finney.
I'm marking that down.
In the dressing room. I want you to listen to my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch him up and good luck.
Freddie Steinwinder, our referee.
Don't forget, Finney took this fight literally on 1 day's notice, maybe less than a day. Took the fight yesterday to fill in for an opponent that I thought was the right opponent for Lubin. I thought, again, his people doing the right job. They trusted him. They believe in him. They were looking to get him a fight that could expand them, could develop a little bit. But Finney, 1 day notice, came in the heaviest of his career. Means he's not in top shape. Didn't get here until today. If he gets past 3 rounds, he'll be lucky. Southpaw, Lubin, talented kid.
Well, he's got some hand speed. Goes to the body with that left hand, splits the guard with a straight left, comes around with that right hook, puts his punches together. Good start for Erickson Lubin.
Yeah, don't think he doesn't understand what I understand, that he does have a guy in front of him who traveled today. That's not the best way to go into a fight, traveling the day of a fight. And that's exactly what Finney's dealing with right now, besides a talented kid in front of him.
I thought Finney looked a little dry when he came in, Teddy.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Look, it's been tough for him. He got the call yesterday, as I said. Maybe all you need to know is that Finney used to be promoted by Top Rank, one of the smartest promoters, if not the smartest, Bob Arum, promoter in the business, and he was recently released. For me, that's all you need to know. They no longer believe in him as a prospect. They don't think he's going where they think a fighter needs to go to get involved with. And maybe that's exactly all that Lubin's people needed to know in order to take him as an opponent. Lubin likes to use that southpaw right hook. That can be a really destructive punch, like lightning out of the sky against an orthodox fighter, because they don't see it coming.
And how about the fact Lubin is naturally right-handed?
Yeah, so that means that's his dominant hand. That's a good point, Joe. That means that's his dominant hand, and that's the hand that he leads with. That's the hand that he would throw that right hook with. And maybe that's the hand that he has the most power in.
Oh, he split that guard again with the 1-2 as the left came in.
Don't worry. So far, so good. Lubin doing just what I want him to do for me to have a shot at my prediction of 3 rounds. You look at the body of Finney. Took the fight again. 1 day notice, people. If you look at that body, it looks a little soft. Didn't have time to do sit-ups, did he?
Not at all. Of course, you give these guys so much respect and credit just for stepping through those ropes
Yes,
and
sir,
staying
they're
in their
fighters.
game and tough.
They're
and that's
special
what Finney
breed.
is.
Special breed.
All right, so we've seen El Bialy earlier tonight. Now Lubin, an undefeated prospect here. How do you go about managing this stage of the career when you got a young prospect like we have here with Lubin?
That's a good question, Joe. Maybe the people out there be interested to hear the answer. First of all is that you have to understand what you have and what you don't have. In Lubin, what do you have? You have a kid who's only 19, but he has 150 amateur fights. So with all that experience, you can move him a little faster. I mean, this is a kid that's been around the block. He's fought internationally. He knows what he's doing, and he's confident. So what do? You assess him, and you say, okay, he's got 150 amateur fights. I'm going to put him in maybe 2 4-rounders because he's over that limit that I talked about, 50 amateur fights. If he's got less than 50 amateur fights, like El Bialy did in his last fight, see, he was still a work in progress. He needed more work. He needs more fights. He needs time, but not Lubin. I give him 2 4-rounders. I let him shoot up to 6 rounds, and then when he goes 6 rounds, maybe 4 times, that's all, maybe 4 times, and I look for consistency. I look to see if he starts and finishes the same. And I make sure that when he goes to 6 rounders, I put him in with guys a little bit slicker that he's got to think. Not just throw punches, but he's got to think. Look, let's be honest out there. For me, when you're fighting at the beginning, most of these kids that are prospect, they're fighting 90-10 fights. That means 90% chance they're going to win, 10% their opponent's going to win. Then they go up to 70-30 in the 6 rounders. All right, 70% they're going to win, 30% the opponent can pull it out. Then I step them up to 60-40 in 8-round fights. Now, 60% chance, 40%, much more competitive. Then you're getting ready for the ultimate 10-round distance where theoretically they're going to be 50-50 fights. That's how you prepare a fighter.
Yet that's existing in a world and in a sport where often many promoters and some premium cable networks have subsidized a sport that offers 90-10 fights at the championship level year after year.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because a lot of times when those guys get to that championship level, well, you know what? They haven't been in a fight yet, even though their record might be 20-0. They have not been in a fight. And look, I blame the networks for that. I'll be honest. I have no problem saying that because the networks want those undefeated records. They don't care what he is when he gets there with that undefeated record so much. They might care after he gets flown out, but it's a little too late then. They just want that undefeated record. For me, you have to at some point put them in competitive so you know what you have. And maybe more importantly, the fighter knows what he is. I'm going to give credit again to Lubin's people. They are understanding what I just talked about. They have a kid with 150 fights. They're not putting them in with all ice cream cones, as I said earlier. They're putting them in with guys that are extending them enough for him to learn something during this process. Hey, Cus D'Amato, my mentor, one of the great boxing guys of all time, used to say, hey, Teddy, if a guy don't know how to fight after 150 fights, he should be selling Italian ices. I mean, he should know how to fight by then. So if you can't put him in a fight after 150 amateur fights, you can't put him in with more than a guy that's a complete stiff. Then what are you saying about the guy?
Lubin probing with that southpaw jab and then trying to place that left hand.
Yeah, it's up.
Told you we got Sergio Mora coming up in our main event. As it is time to see what the fighters need to do to look like a champ, brought to you by Just for Men. How will Sergio Mora look like a champ? Brian Campbell caught up with him.
Sergio, up until 2 weeks ago, you expected to be challenging for Jermaine Taylor's middleweight title. You're 34 years old. What was your reaction to seeing this title fight fall apart?
What does my age have to do with it? I was disappointed, though. You know, everyone wants to dream of fighting for a world title, but you know, it's evading me for a while. But you know, Jermaine Taylor, he needs help, and I hope that he gets the help he needs. But I'm still going to take care of business tonight, and I'm appreciative of this date.
What type of fight are you expecting against this late replacement in A.B. Hahn?
These are the worst. To get these last minute replacements are the worst, especially from guys that could take a punch and keep coming forward. It makes for exciting TV, though, so it's going to be good for you guys. But, I got my hands full, and I know that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Sergio says these are the worst when you grab an opponent like this and a change here. A.B. Hahn is that opponent coming up in the main event. Sergio, 35 years old. He says, what does my age have to do with it? We will find out what his age has to do with it.
A little sensitive there, Sergio. Come on.
Well, Teddy, this is round number 3. Michael Finney against Erickson Lubin.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said that they felt Lubin would get rid of Finney by the end of 3. We will see if that happens.
Somebody's trying to add a little theater,
just
a little drama to our show, a little spice.
He put his punches together well, Teddy. To start on this third round. Right to the head with a combination goes the undefeated prospect. Almost caught Finney that time as Finney stepped forward into that danger zone. Finney opening up a bit more aggressively there for a moment. Came forward that time. Boy, if Lubin could time something here with Finney taking chances like that with a right hand and he falls in.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. Exactly. Lubin's trying to, every once in a while he gets off first, creates his own offense, but then he looks to let Finney kind of create it for him, by, as you alluded to, falling in, reaching in a little bit. Lubin's looking for an opportunity to catch Finney on the back end, off a counter, off a mistake.
Finney placed that left hand to the body.
You can see the mentality of Lubin. He's not a seek and destroy guy, even though he's 8-0 with 6 knockouts. He's a thinking guy, He's looking for opportunities. He's looking for counter opportunities right now because he thinks he can get something clean. Again, if he could take advantage of a mistake by Finney, maybe getting a little heavy reaching in. One thing I noticed Lubin does wrong, they're going to have to work on in the gym. He doesn't cover with that right hand. After he throws it and he makes a transition to a left hand, the right hand's not always up. I saw him a moment ago. He looked to throw a left uppercut. That right hand was down. That can be dangerous.
Defensive flaw there. Is that the toughest part? Teddy, is that the toughest part of grooming a young prospect, is that often the offensive side will be ahead of some of the defensive science that you'd like to see?
Yeah, that's a great point. And for me, that's the most important thing when you're developing a fighter. I don't want to step him up to that 10-round level until his defense is there. Great point. If you take a kid in the gym off the street, he's going to throw punches, but he's not going to elude them. That's something that has to be taught, and that takes time. Teaching the defense.
Sort of like watching AAU basketball in this day and age. Everybody can go isolation and try to score the move to the hoop. Let me see a lockdown.
Pick him up. Let me see the final points. Exactly. And we're going to see a 4th round here, by the way.
Hey, pick him up.
Joe and Teddy in Biloxi, Mississippi for Friday night fights. Round number 4 scheduled for 8. Michael Finney, short notice opponent here. 5-year pro based in Alabama in the red trunks, taking on the 8-0, 19-year-old Erickson Lubin.
I mentioned a couple rounds ago, by the way, I was wrong. He did not knock him out in 3. But he is dominating, and he being Lubin, he's winning every round. But I mentioned a couple rounds ago that Finney has a soft body. Took the fight on short notice, had no time to really be in the gym and do sit-ups. I'm a little surprised Lubin and his people haven't noticed that. Because I would have been going to the body, or if I'm the trainer, I would have been telling Lubin, hey, let's invest downstairs. Put a little water in the basement. For the exact reason I said it earlier. There's a power punch. Sometimes that's a power punch for the southpaw, the backhand, that you can turn your back, you can turn your left foot into that punch.
Brian Campbell was just listening into his corner. Brian?
Joe, his trainer, Jason Galarza, told Lubin, you just do what you do best, just box. He'll walk into something, just relax in there. You were born to do this.
ESPN.com's boxing writer Brian Campbell with us all night here in Mississippi.
For you fans at home that are looking for something to center on, watch the right hand again of Lubin. I know he's winning every second of every round, but when he throws that left hand, the right hand does not cover. Right there was a good example of it. See, if I got a fighter fighting Lubin, I noticed that. I saw it in film. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip that left hand when he throws it. I'm always going to beg him to throw it. I'm going to draw it out of him. And I'm going to slip to the left when he throws it, make it miss. See the right hand down, Joe?
Yep.
I'm going to slip to the left and throw a left hook. Now, I know usually you look for right hands against the southpaw. With Lubin, if I got somebody in the other corner, I'm looking for left hooks.
Let's see what CompuBox is offering up as they're tallying up the totals. These are the power punches. It's Lubin in a commanding lead, landing 81 to Finney's 19, throwing 137, landing 59% according to CompuBox.
Now again, watch. Watch when Lubin throws that left hand. Watch where the right hand goes. It does not go up. There it is,
right down there. You can see it go right to his belt line there, right down towards his waist. So an opportunity for an opponent if they are able to get that left hook.
Yeah, slip to the left, Joe. Make the left hand miss, and then you got a free zone for your left hook because the right hand of Lubin will be low.
And a 4 here.
Watch the left hand, but watch the right hand of Lubin. Look at the right hand. It's down. Now the left hand lands. That's the good news. And that's what everyone's going to applaud in this camp. But I think the teachers, the people that are in charge of his career, that are responsible for Lubin becoming a better fighter, I think they have to say, nice left hand, but look where your right hand is. It was down. Another fighter would have made you pay.
Round 5 scheduled for 8. Lubin, the young junior middleweight, unbeaten prospect. Southpaw, good amateur career, we told you. Won the gloves in 2013, took gold at 152 pounds.
Lubin leans forward with that head in there a little bit. One thing that you hate to have happen at any time, especially when you have a young kid coming up, is to get cut. You wonder at what point, if any point.
Oh, he just ate a right hand.
He got caught a good right hand.
Michael Finney caught Lubin, the undefeated prospect, with a right hand for a moment.
You wonder if sometimes a fighter like Lubin, who's winning every second of every round up to that moment, starts to think, gee, I don't want to get cut. I want to come out of here clean. If he starts thinking like, don't think they don't think like that. If he starts thinking like that at a certain point, you start maybe hesitating in certain areas. You know, you lose some of that spontaneity, some of that automatic stuff that you want, and you can get yourself in a little trouble when your mentality is worrying about things or thinking too much about things. Hey, right hands, if I was in the corner of Finney, I said it earlier, I'd like to see him slip to his left, throw a left hook, but right hands has always been the traditional way to go against southpaws. A lot of swelling now under the right eye, Joe, of Finney.
He's also got a cut, a little abrasion that's turned into a cut now, just in the middle of his forehead there.
Yeah, that's
on the crest of the brow.
Yeah, he's getting banged. He looks like Peyton Manning after he takes his helmet off.
Oh, yeah. A lot of redness.
A lot of redness.
What do you think Peyton should do at this stage of his career, Ted?
You know, that's an interesting question. You got to think about getting out on top, and I don't think if he stays any longer, he could ever have the chance to get out on top. His arm's not there what it used to be. You know, I'm not a football expert. My son is, but you do football, you do all sports. But I tell you, I know all sports.
Well, it's relatable to boxing in that the champion and the guy that's always been the biggest, baddest guy walking around with the belt struggles at times when to walk away.
Yeah, there's no doubt the ego gets in the way. Look, the ego makes them great, and the ego can destroy them, too, because they don't know when to walk away. There's that right hook by Lubin. Again, the magic punch sometimes that comes out of nowhere for a southpaw, where an orthodox fighter's just not used to seeing it.
So he took that right hand earlier and then steadied himself with more consistent work rate throughout the rest.
Right in the southpaw, they tell you throw right hands. Jab, Straight right hand catches Lubin, and then the left uppercut just misses. That's what Finney needs. One punch,
Let's go.
probably not enough to get rid of the undefeated Lubin, unless it's a perfect punch. But 2 punches, that can bring joy.
See that more pronounced swelling around that right eye of Michael Finney here. We start round number 6. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas with you in Biloxi. Clean sweep for Lubin. It's been time where he's had some clean offensive attacks here, but I don't know if we've seen necessarily the power that you would expect to be delivered that could finish things off.
I see that swelling closing a little bit more of the right eye of Finney. I wonder what his people in the corner, the cut man in particular, if he has an end swell, that solid piece of metal that you emerge into ice, it gets really cold, and then you put it on the swelling and you keep the swelling down. I wonder if they're using that device or something similar in Finney's corner. The cut man is Todd Halib. See, that's what Finney wants to do, is time Finney as he comes in. He just missed with that right hook. Trying to take advantage of maybe a little reckless aggression. Try to get Finney helping him a little bit. Little blood now dripping.
Yep, that's opened up a little more.
Yeah.
Lubin's going to the body here.
See, I think Lubin's going to the body a little late in the game. I would have liked that earlier in the fight. Because as I said earlier, no muscle tone in the stomach area of Finney. That might be a good idea, what he just did there, Lubin. Finney covering up, putting those earmuffs on. 2 places to catch him clean. Right down the middle, blind him with the right jab, then right down the middle, split the guard, or around the gloves, around the ear. Loop the punches if you're Lubin when Finney has those earmuffs on. Looks like Finney's starting to wear down a little bit. Who could blame him? Took the fight yesterday.
More blood streaming down from Finney. That blood's coming from his nose that you see here. Not that cut right above the ridge of his eyes, but his nose here. Well, there's a tough and gutsy 23-year-old who has the swollen right eye. It's Michael Finney, has a bloodied nose, and he's been taking a good amount of punishment from the 19-year-old undefeated Erickson Lubin as we begin round number 7, scheduled for 8 here in Biloxi.
Tough way to make a living.
Sure is.
You know, especially becomes even tougher when you're taking fights on, as I said, less than 24 hours notice, as is the case for Finney. If there's going to be a knockout now, I think it's going to come off a counter for Lubin. In other words, a clean punch. Not necessarily a forced-in punch when you're trying to force them past the cover of Finney. But when Finney reaches, when Finney misses, an opportunity for Lubin to catch him really clean. And he's looking for it.
Work your hands out of there. Get off of it. Let's go.
The looping punches, Joe, they're the ones that can do damage now. I think when you see those gloves up there, the way Finney keeps them up there in that peekaboo, like that.
Like that right there.
Yeah, the looping punches behind the glove, behind the ear. Like that first one.
Total punches, according to CompuBox, 480 thrown by Lubin, landing 180 to Finney's 36 connected with.
I don't think we need CompuBox tonight to tell us who's throwing more punches.
Give you the statistical superlatives there. Pretty obvious to see, and it matches up with what's being tallied.
I mean, I didn't pay attention that much in math class, but I got this. Uppercut wouldn't be a bad idea. You're looking for a clean punch if you're Lubin. Split that guard. Finney's leaning a little. Surprised he's not using that uppercut, Finney, a little bit. Or I should say Lubin. So you know what I would like to throw in here? This is stuff that has to be taught in the gym, though. You got a guy stationary, flat-footed like Finney, covering up, gutsy, but he's not winning. But he's just surviving. Standing in front of you. If I'm Lubin, I like to step to the side and get his shot off on the side.
One to go. Go Tessitore, Teddy Atlas, ESPN.com's Brian Campbell. Todd Grisham in studio with you tonight for Friday Night Fights. 8th and final round of our co-feature between Finney and Lubin. Erickson Lubin in black trunks with the red trims. Been total control here. 8-0 prospect. Tough Michael Finney took this on a day's notice. He's been dealing with swelling in that around that right eye for the better part of second half of this fight, as well as a bloodied nose.
To our great fans out there, if I threw your rhythm off a little bit by sending you to the refrigerator early so you wouldn't miss a third-round knockout by Lubin, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you got all your chips, and all your sauces, and your favorite beverage, so you're ahead of the game. Don't be mad.
We're down here in Mississippi and nearby in Alabama. They've been celebrating Deontay Wilder's success, the 33-0 heavyweight titleist. Had that win over Stavern recently, and he will be interviewed in our next studio segment.
Well, Todd is going to love. He's all excited, I'm sure. Todd, they probably can't control him in the studio right now because he's going to be interviewing a fellow Alabamian.
But Todd's from Mobile.
Yes, he is. Todd loves to interview fellow Alabamians.
Todd's a passionate guy. It doesn't take much to get Todd excited. He's a very, very passionate, enthusiastic person.
Yeah, actually, he would like to interview someone from Biloxi.
Just line up an entire interviewing tour of the Deep South for Todd.
You know, I mean, what was the name of that airport that we flew into in North Carolina? Charlotte. He'd love to interview somebody.
I don't know.
From Charlotte.
Southern enough for Todd. He needs like a chicken and waffle kind of town.
That might be true.
Lubin's going to just coast in for a victory here.
It's like it's exactly what he's doing here. A little bit of a prevent defense without using his legs to run all over the place, but at the same time, not overextending his offense to give any kind of crazy opportunity out of the blue for Finney.
Come on, whip it out of there.
There's that right hook by Finney. Just missed catching him really clean.
Well, we'll come back and hear from the judges
that right hook by Lubin.
Wrap things up with Erickson Lubin. And we promise you, Todd with the heavyweight titleist, Deontay Wilder. Little talk back with Todd Grisham when we come back to Friday Night Fights.
And all three judges score at the same 80-72, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And still undefeated, Erickson, the Hammer Lubin.
19-year-old Erickson Lubin, 9-0 now as he advances in his career. Our main event is coming up, but for now, we go to the Friday Night Fight studio and the incomparable Todd Grisham.